called a truce on being pro-life. We've never called a truce on being pro-family. And we've got two of our great allies here today in Terry and Penny. They're going to talk about some of the progress that's being made since we've got a great pro-life, pro-family president of the White House again. And so to kind of start with that, Penny, we're a month into the presidency. President's been pretty active.
Yes.
What are a few of the things that he's done that get you excited in the pro-life movement?
Well, first off, thank God President Trump won, right? And Concerned Women for America is the nation's largest public policy women's organization, and we are unapologetically pro-life women. And we are not afraid to lead with that. And what a great month it's been, from everything from pro-life people who use their First Amendment rights to, I don't know, sing and pray outside an abortion clinic, being pardoned by our president, as they well should have been, to signing the Mexico City Policy Executive Order, to the Hyde Amendment coming back, and many important things. Mexico City Policy, of course, is about abortions in other countries. And why are we funding all of this? Why are we spending $700 million a year for Planned Parenthood, who's the nation's largest abortion provider, and also giving cross-sex hormones to little kids? Why are we doing that? I think DOGE has got a great target right there.
Yes, that's right.
Terry, same question, and for those of you, I mean, I know you guys watch these two great heroes for the pro-life, pro-family movement. Both have been leaders on making sure that girls play girls' sports, that we use the right pronouns when we're describing ourselves and our kids. But Terry, same question to you. Where has President Trump made you proud this first month?
Well, first of all, President Trump is the most pro-family president, period, ever, period. He's done a full blitzkrieg to protect our children and families. Out of the gate, he signed this executive order to protect our children, not just their bodies, but their hearts and minds, from this nefarious and evil transgender industry, which, by the way, this transgender industry that's given our kids cross-sex hormones, blocking their puberties, chopping up their body parts and sterilizing them, it's worth $4.5 billion in this country. And we just allow it to go unchecked. And we wonder why we're always talking about it. Well, it's because they're taking that money and they're piling it back into PR campaigns and public relations and pushing it on our kids in schools. But President Trump, out of the gate, signs this amazing executive order to protect our children from this. And it bans the funding of these surgeries. It bans them at any hospitals that accept Medicaid. But also, what was very fascinating to me was it instructed the Department of Justice to investigate any doctors or clinics or companies, pharmaceutical companies, that are pushing transgender surgeries and hormone treatments on minors. And then, by the way, President Trump has been leading on the women's sports fight.
Right.
And it was so cool. Yeah, that's right, he deserves it. But he had this executive order signing ceremony, and I've been involved in this fight for so long. We ran so many campaign ads on this. But in the background of President Trump signing this were all these little girls from all across the country with their jerseys on, their medals, and you could just see how much his work on this fight meant to those girls. And so I'm going to be forever grateful, eternally grateful to President Trump for everything he's done.
Can I just add something to that? Concerned Women for America has worked on this issue for 7 years with many others. But President Trump was the first person to sign a presidential pledge to American women and actually follow through. This happened in 2023. I went to Bedminster. Go to my Instagram page, you'll see a picture. And he signed it right away. And I don't want to tell you how many other Republicans we had to beg and plead with to get to do it, because he got it at his gut. He looked at, my husband was in the room, and he's like, can you believe I have to sign a pledge that says that there are only two genders and only women can be mothers? But he gets it at his gut, and we're so deeply grateful because trans ideology has hurt a lot of kids. And I've seen Chloe Cole around this, around the event, around CPAC, many others.
Yeah. So we've had a busy first month. You know, the Vice President talked about some things this morning. Where do we go next? obviously we got some early victories. He followed through on his promises. Where do we need to go next, whether it's with the president, whether it's working with Congress? You know, what is a great preview, something that our activists that are here can take back home to start working on as kind of like part two here with...
Well, I want to say two things. Number one, an executive order only lasts as long as you have the right president in office, right? And we've got to get all of this over the finish line, into law. Congress has to do their job, and then of course the president will sign it into law. So we cannot give up until we actually are able to codify this policy. And the second thing is, the vice president did a great job today talking about like key issues. And I'd like to talk about the issue of marriage, shall we?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's talk about the idea that at this point in our nation, we're not at replacement rate for our children, for our families. We have less people getting married, young people getting married. We have a whole group of young men that are following the evil pathway of Andrew Tate, who's openly in favor of pornography, creating pornography. It is the way of destruction. And I just want to, here on this CPAC stage, repudiate all of that, suggest that although not everybody can get married, not everybody can have children, but it's okay to realize and to state that it's the ideal for a family. And it's healthy for a nation, and it's healthy for people. And about 81% of young people in this country want to be married. But we're down in those numbers, and I would suggest there's some real systemic causes of that we have to deal with.
Well, Penny, I think that one of the major problems in this country with family is that we've allowed all these losers in the media, losers in Hollywood, to tell us what masculinity is, to redefine masculinity. And what they've done is they've defined all masculinity as toxic. So young men have never been more under attack.
That's true.
You know, I'm sure there'll be headlines about, oh, CPAC's saying that men are under attack. They just don't get it. But if you look at being a young man today, you are inundated with pornography, you're inundated with sports betting, you're inundated with all these distractions like weed, and they're things that are distracting you and deceiving you from the really important things like getting married, and finding that special partner that you can spend the rest of your life with. And then even from there, if you get married, now you have hurdles for these young men that don't even want to have kids. We're called to be fathers. I've got 7 kids, right? And I might have taken President Trump's, thank you.
He had 4 the first time he met President Trump.
And he told me, it was funny, we took a picture and President Trump, I didn't know what to say to him. And so going up, I introduced my wife and I said, Mr. President, can you believe that my wife just had her 4th baby? And he says, oh my gosh, she's stunning, which my wife is absolutely beautiful.
She is.
Keep going, don't stop. But being a father, it's the most amazing thing, right? And they get better, every one. But you hold these little babies, and looking up at you is this little vulnerable human being that's looking at you with these eyes that are just drawn to you. And it's the product of the love between you and the other person that you love with all your heart, and now you have something that you love just as much, and you didn't think that was possible. And we have an entire generation of young men who are smoking weed, watching porn, not getting married, not even pursuing women. We have this thing called incels, involuntary celibates. It's terrible, and we can't become a great nation again. We can't make America great again until our men are great again, until our men are strong. And watching porn, doing OnlyFans, recruiting people, making money off of girls on OnlyFans, that's not how to be a man. That's not masculinity. That's some third gender out there that they've invented. And so I don't know. I just think that these young men out here are they're missing out. And I want to bring them back home. We got to inspire these young men for the challenges ahead of them.
Let me say, we're the women's group who love men. And I'm a mother of a son. We need to have great role models for them. And, you know, and I would say those great role models are not the men who monetize women, but it are the men who are faithful husbands. My husband and I have been married 30 years almost. He's been a faithful husband and father to our children, have been a lifelong friend and supported my career.
That's what you want, young ladies. And don't sell yourself short and settle for anything less. Any man that doesn't respect you and is not willing to commit to you, don't settle for it. But at the same time, the young men have been undermined, and I think we need to support them and give them the great role models that they deserve, because they'll be happier, is the truth.
And we're talking about changing our culture, and we won an election, but as one of our colleagues in the movement once said to me about 20 years ago, he said, the fight only begins.
That's right.
You win an election, and then the fight, that's when the real fight begins, because that's when you have to start getting things done. What, as kind of in our last few minutes here though, from a we're talking about these concepts, and I have a 15-year-old son, and I spend a lot of time with him. That's one of my biggest responsibilities, is to make sure he comes out right. And I know you feel the same way about yours and your kids. And what can we do? What can we send these folks home with that they can do though to help get this broader culture shift that we're talking about
today? Can I
today?
just add on to that, because you touched on something very important, and that's parents being good parents. It is your top responsibility. It's the most important job I have. And so and parents, it's a difficult world we live in. Utah just passed a bill saying that parents have the right, should be the people that allow children to download apps. Right now, kids can download anything without parental notification. We need to actually help parents have the tools to be better parents, to be able to protect their kids from bad media, from pornography, from all the things that are toxic, that hurt them, and be able to give them a loving, faithful home, and recognizing that we as a nation are people of faith, and we need to return to that.
Yeah, look, I think that there are some easy things that we can quickly clean up, and there are already movements that are out there that have been growing. So we're up to 26 states that are protecting girls' sports. We're up to 27 states now that have banned these gender procedures, but we're up to 19 states that require age verification to access adult content online. If we can get our young people, Matt, off of porn and get them to 18, where they're dating girls, they're interested in girls, not computer screens and fake stuff online, I think we're gonna have a much brighter future. But again, I think we gotta reach our young men, inspire them. JFK would have been a Republican today, right? I think it's obvious, but in his inaugural address, he said, we do these things as Americans not because they're easy, but because they are hard. Nothing we're doing is ever easy. And we have to inspire young men that's ripe, they want the challenge, and there's no better challenge than being a good husband and a good father. And by the way, spend time with your kids. Like, guys, we're dads. We get to have fun. Like, we get to buy the candy that mom won't want. We get to buy the donuts. We get to throw the kids up in the air way too high, but they're having a blast. So spend time with your kids, even if it's 5 minutes a week or 5 minutes a day. But just make time for it. Prioritize the right things. And it's not weed, it's not OnlyFans, it's not sports betting, it's your family.
And take them to church.
Yeah, go to church.
Penny Nance, Terry Schilling, thank you for being at CPAC again.
Thanks, guys.